Okay guys, we're back. I'm going to talk about Rattlesnake Bay, part 1 here. One of my favorite places on the Lower Laguna Madre to fish. I've been fishing this bay going on 30 years consistently. So it's a really good spot on the Lower Laguna Madre. It's got the spoil drops right in front of it to give it some kind of protection with some little accesses, and then you get into the bay, a couple of islands out there, and then it goes from, anywhere from 4 feet to inches on water when you get to the back of the bay. So let's get into this and let's take a look. This is on one of my trips a few years back out to Rattlesnake Bay. I think it was in the month of December when I did this. All right, here we go. Right off the bat, we're sitting in Rattlesnake Bay. I went over there to go catch trout. I figured, what the heck, we'd go catch trout. So you see how the water's kind of green? And that was a decision that we made. We were going to go for trout that morning. But instead of catching trout, we caught redfish. I think I caught 6 or 7 reds, and at the end of the day, at the end of the drift, I caught 1 trout, and then we headed back to the house. But look at this, right off the bat, my first cast, look what I catch. I catch a 28-inch redfish right off the bat. Popping the cork, my back bay thunder, live shrimp. First cast. So I'm right out in the middle of Rattlesnake Bay, between the upper and lower. So I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of Rattlesnake Bay. That's where I'm at. You can see Hobnail Island there in the back. No secrets here. Real easy. When I fish the clear water is on the back side of Hobnail Island. That's where it's real shallow and the water's clear. But if you're on the front side of Hobnail Island, the water is churned up and it's a little murky. Like as you see, it's got that green tinge to it. So I'm thinking we're going to catch some trout here. But look at this, big old red right off the bat. Cassie's on her game. First cast, big redfish. Beautiful 28-inch redfish we bring in here. And actually, I caught more than one. Well, let's put it this way, I hooked more than one. It's not in the video, but I did hook another one after that because there's a marker pole in the ground just off to the in front of the boat, probably about 100 yards. Well, not even 100 yards, about 50 yards or whatever. And I had hooked another big one, and when he went around there, it snapped my line. So I didn't even put that one in there. This is the one I got in the boat. One did get away. Look at this big old redfish. Beautiful. Another perfect day out on the Lower Laguna Madre. It was a cloudy day. The wind was blowing 30 to 35 miles an hour, so it was a real windy day. But it just goes to show you, the fish are biting only on windy days also. You know, we looked at our numbers, did our charts. We're out there about midday. Probably around 11 o'clock is when I got there. 10:30, 11 o'clock. That's what time this is. And we're following the cylinder charts. We're going for the major bite time. And right off the bat, first cast. Look at this beautiful redfish. That Cassie barked up. Nice, beautiful upper slot 28-inch redfish. Like I said, it was a cloudy covered day. I don't think the sun really came out that day. I think it kind of filtered through a little bit, but it never really cleared up. But I was in the zone fishing for, I wanted to fish for trout. I figured I'd go out and catch speckled trout. So we go to the trout green water. You know the old saying, well, the water's got that green tinge, the trout are going to be hanging in there. And as you can see, I'm fishing the oil slicks. You see the oil slicks out in front of my boat. So I'm right in line with them. And my first cast on that back bay thunder using live shrimp, I catch a 28-inch redfish. And I'm probably, when I get the boat back in the water, I'm going to either double down or triple down on drift socks, because even there with that wind blowing, I was drifting way too fast. So I may end up using 2, it may be 3 drift socks in the future while I'm out drift fishing, so it slows me down, because I like to go real slow, cover the area. But Rattlesnake Bay has always produced for me. I've been fishing out there, like I say, going on 30 years. And ever since I had my Dargle Scout that I bought back in 1997. So I fished that bay many a times, and I've caught many a redfish, many of trout, a few drum every now and then, and a few flounder every now and then, but mainly drum, trout, snook. That's what you find back there. A lot, you know, a lot of reds and a lot of trout, and of course snook too. There's some big snook, and there's some big trout. I've caught a lot of some of my biggest, not my biggest trout, but some of my biggest trout that I have caught, which you're talking between 26 and 27 inches. I've caught them in this bay. For some reason, it's a magnet for that upper size trout, and they hang there for some reason out there. So we get him out, we're going to measure him out, and I'm going to find out he's 28 inches. And like I said, I caught 6 or 7 reds this day. This was in the month of December, about 3 or 4 years ago. And we did really well when we went out. It was a midday fish. We didn't go out real super early. I think by the time we got out there, it was around 11 o'clock in the morning. So around midday. And we did really well. We just fished right here. We fished for like 2 or 3 hours and then we went back in. Look at this baby. Beautiful redfish. 28 inches. Exactly how you like them. Nice big 28-inch red. And like I said, I hooked another one probably just as big or bigger, but he snapped my line because those pole markers that they put for obstructions in the water, I was fishing that edge along one of those spoil drops, which you can't see on the backside of the camera. That's how close I was up there. Yeah, he went around it and it cut my line. So I did lose one more that was just as big or bigger as him. So we're going to let Cassie give him a lick. And then I have an issue with this guy. I was getting to the point that I tried to put him back in and he wasn't reviving because I had exhausted him out when I hooked him and wore him down, and he wasn't reviving. So I was thinking, dang, I'm probably going to have to harvest this fish. So, you know, I can't get him to move. So this is when I was still wearing a camera on top of my head. I really don't like wearing them anymore because you don't really get a lot out of that. I mean, like right here, yeah, you do. You can see it. But when you're catching them and stuff, it doesn't really give you a good view. That's my old GoPro 6. So by then, this is the first time that I've had my GoPro 10. I just bought a GoPro 10, so now I got 2 GoPro cameras. I was using my 6 on top of my head and a GoPro 10 on the back of the boat. The GoPro 10 had GPS. So in the beginning of this video, if you watch the regular one, you'll see there's a little GPS signal in the frame of the picture, and it shows me traveling out there, but it doesn't work. It only goes up to the mouth and then it cuts off. So it doesn't stay all the way to the location where you go. So I don't know if GoPro's ever fixed that technology. I tried it that one time because this is a brand new camera to see how it was going to work. And it didn't do the GPS all the way like it was supposed to. So it had some dead zones. But as you can see, look at that beautiful redfish. And you see the water, the clarity is low in this water. But there's big reds hide out in that kind of water too. You catch redfish in that kind of water also. Low clarity, high winds, but still a beautiful day out on the lower Laguna Madre because we were on the reds. Even though we were anticipating to hook it up with the trout, we caught reds all day long out there, all afternoon. You know. And I think the last cast I made, I caught a trout in that same area. And we just did one drift right through Rattlesnake Bay right there because it was blowing straight out of the south. And we just drifted all the way through. And then we picked up and went. We started at the north end and drifted all the way to the southern end of Rattlesnake Bay. And see how he's not even moving? So I don't like letting fish go like that. I want to make sure they're revived because you know they go into shock when you catch them. They tense up and they get their whatever that oil is that makes them tense up and puts them into shock. So I try to relieve that stress because they're stressed out before I let them go because I want to make sure they're going to survive. Because if you don't, what ultimately is going to happen is it's going to go to the bottom and it's going to die. And it'll just be out there floating, you know. And I really, see, he gave me a good kick there, but other than that, it wasn't enough for me to say, hey, let's let this guy go. So what I'm going to do here is, you're going to see here in a minute, I'm going to put him in the live well, and I leave him in the live well for a good while to get him oxygenated. So I make sure he's good and ready to go before he gets released. But that's a big, beautiful redfish. Doesn't get any better than that. You know, for the fight, that's what you want. You want the big redfish. If you're going to eat, you want the smaller ones. Smaller ones are better eating. The bigger ones are more fun to catch because they fight. They fight hard. And this was just using live bait this day. That's all I use. I didn't use any artificial. I just used live bait. Live shrimp. On a back bait Thunder, number 4 treble hook. Look how beautiful that fish is. So I want to make sure he's kicking really good before I let him go. And if I'm not satisfied, I'll put him in the live well and leave him in there a while. And generally, once I put them in there, because I have 2 aerators in there, that usually revives them really well. And then they're really good to go, to let them go. You know, because it'd be a shame. That's such a beautiful fish. And those are the breeders. Those are the ones that breed. So you know, like I say, anything big, I generally put back. The only time I'll keep it is if I know it's not going to live. Meaning if it swallowed the hook, or if it, you know, messed up the gill plate or something, you know what I'm saying, along that line. That you know that it's not going to survive. Then I'll harvest it and keep it. But 99.9% of the time, all the big ones go back. They're released. But you see how he's not really giving me, like, yeah, I'm ready to go. He's just there, going through the motions. Not really like, yeah, he's kicking. And I need that sign before I let go of his tail. And he's not really giving me that. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put him in the live well. I'm going to take him out, and we'll put him in the live well. And let him recover and recoup in there with some highly oxygenated water for him, so he can get it through his gills and revive him. Man, that's a beautiful redfish. See, when I put him in here, look how he rolls over. When I put him in, see how he just rolls to the side? But I'm going to turn on the oxygen. I have 2 pumps in there. See, look how he's on the side. He should be floating straight up with his back, with his dorsal fin up, and he's not. So he's still in shock. So that was the right thing to do. Leave him in there for a while. Let him get oxygenated, and let's go back to fishing. As you can see, there's a spoil banks right there, right up against the spoil banks. That's where I was at when I caught that bad boy. And we're in that green murky water that's in Rattlesnake Bay is known for. A lot of Rattlesnake Bay on the front side of Rattlesnake Island and Hobnail Island, it's that green murky water. In some areas it's got some brown tinge to it, but so I'm just checking on him, trying to get him to move, revive him. See, look at all that oxygen that those pumps are putting out for him. So I leave him in there long enough, he'll revive, and he'll be ready, good to go to let him release back into the lower Laguna Madre. Now here we go, number 2, baby. Popping the cork on my 8.5 foot offshore angler rod. My battery's dying. I think it died on the GoPro that's on the back of the boat, so I got to switch it out. Switch out the battery. Like I said, this is when I first bought my GoPro 10. When they first came out. And I don't know, I might go back to wearing one on my head. It just seems like it was too much of an issue, and I like simplicity. I don't know if you really get the benefit in the video with me having it on my head, because you don't really see it out there when I'm casting when the fish hits. You only see it when it gets close up to the boat, which is still you can see in the camera that's off the back of the boat. So I'm not sure. You know, look at that. Nice and windy. Average day down here in the on the lower Laguna Madre. Rattlesnake Bay, one of my favorite places. We did a series, which we still have more series to cover on Bird Island, but we're going to start doing some Rattlesnake Bay footage here so you guys can see Rattlesnake Bay. And I like putting the drift sock in the middle. I think that's back when I had my small drift sock, which was, I don't know, like a 2 or 3 footer one. The one I use now, I love it. It's a 5-foot one. It's 4 feet wide and 5 feet long. I bought it at Bass Pro, and that one works really good. And like I said, when I go back into the water, I'm probably going to get 1 or 2 more, because that'll even slow me down even more. So see, I try him again, and he's still not ready. He's still not showing me enough. He's getting better, but he's not where I'm confident enough to let him go and to release him back into his environment. I want to really make sure this guy survives, because he's such a beautiful redfish. And usually reds, I don't usually have this kind of problem with. It's usually the trout that really go into this deep shock, and you really need to make sure you get them revived before you release them, because if not, they'll just float to the bottom and die. They won't recover. They'll go into shock and stay there and just and die. And this was one red that acted like a trout, but at least you see how he's upright now, and he's not laying over and his belly upright, but his dorsal. So he's getting better. He's getting oxygen. So we just need to leave him in there a little bit longer, and he'll be good to go here in a little bit. So the water I'm fishing in right there is probably around 24 inches. They may have some 3-foot potholes, but on average, it's 2 feet is what that is. Right where I'm at there. 2 feet of water in that part of Rattlesnake Bay. And like I said, I just started at the north end of Rattlesnake Bay, and I'm drifting all the way through to the south end. And I'll exit out the south end to go back into the Arroyo when I finish my drift to head back to the house. But you see here I'm popping the cork here, and I got the camera on my head, and it doesn't really show anything. So that's why I don't know if there's any benefit of filming like this, because you don't really see nothing. And watch when I hook this fish here. He's taking it. I'm reeling in the slack. I'm getting ready to set the hook. And this is one that I waited too long, like I told you, on setting the hook, because this red swallowed it, and I had to harvest this red. So see, I'm reeling him, but you don't really see anything. I mean, right there, what you'd normally see with the camera off the back of the boat, you'll still get to see that. So I don't know. I'll think about it, because I got plenty of GoPro cameras now that I can switch it up and do whatever. This is a keeper red. I want to say he was around 21, I think. I think he was 21. I don't think he was 22. I could be wrong, but let's look at it when I get him out. But he swallowed the hook. I couldn't get the hook out of him, and it was a shame. So I had to harvest this one. Yeah, I think this one was a 21. That's how long he was. And it was a shame, because he really swallowed it. It was down into his stomach. And I hate doing that to a fish. I hate cutting it and then letting the fish go. And you know, it's a galvanized hook. They say supposedly it'll rust out and the fish will be fine, which I doubt it. I would think that this fish would starve, because it wouldn't be able to get the bait fish to pass where that hook was clogging the beginning of its stomach. And I think it would just starve to death out there. So why do that to it? Just harvest it and take it home. You know, that's the right thing to do. Because I knew he wasn't going to live anyway. And it was a beautiful little red. Yeah, see, I'm looking down in there. It's way down in there. And I got those long reachers because those things work pretty good. The fish can go pretty deep and hook it pretty deep back in there. Those reaching hook removers that I have there work really well. I bought that years ago when I used to go on the Osprey offshore fishing, and I bought that one, and I bought like, I don't know, 4 or 5 other ones. I bought like 4 or 5 or 6 of them, whatever the crews were that were, because they always took care of me out there on the Osprey and the deckhands, and they had the little shorter ones. So on one of my trips out, I bought each one of the deckhands one of those long ones like that, and I kept one for myself, and I gave the other ones away to them. They used to really take care of me when I'd go out there, you know. On the Osprey, go fishing for the snapper when we go to the snapper banks. That's what I used to do. And you know, I had a good relationship with them, and the captain that was on the boat, you know, I give them good tips, and they wouldn't charge me as long as I tipped them. I wouldn't have to pay like everybody else would pay, because I was always buying them equipment to work with out there, and then I'd give them a good tip at the end of the day in their kitty. So that's things that you got to remember if you're going to go offshore fishing on these commercial boats where they charge people to go. Once you get on there and you start to know the people and you know their names, and you know, and you get to know them, and you give them extra stuff, you know, like nice tips, bring them equipment that they could use out there for free, and just give it to them. When the next time that you come, they're not going to charge you like they charge everybody else. They're going to let you ride for free, man, because you're taking care of them. At the end of the day, they want their people taken care of. And you know, those guys work hard on those boats. I mean, they earn their money. They work hard out there, catering to customers, taking fish off the lines, all that stuff, rigging their poles and everything. And I wouldn't take my own poles. One thing that they don't like people, I don't know if it's the same now, but when I used to go, they don't like people taking their own poles. They want you to use the poles that they have there. That's on the boat. So that's just something I learned. And I had a good relationship with them. And they'd hook me up all the time, man. All the time. Take care of me. And I just do little things, man. Like I said, I bought them all those pliers for the deckhands. I think there was like 6 of them, so I think maybe I bought 7 of them. And, you know, and think about it, they were like, I don't know what they were back then, $10 a piece or something like that. So what I spent $70. You know, back then, I don't know what they charge now. I haven't been out in years, but they used to charge $100, $150 for you to go out on a day trip with them, man. So, you know, just little things like that. You put that in there, and then when you notice the next time you come out, or next 2 or 3 times you come out, they're not going to charge you, because they remember how you tipped them well. They remember how you brought them stuff, and you know, and they fillet the fish out. You don't got to pay them extra, you know, for that either. But they take care of your fish for you and everything, man. Really, really, really good guys out there on those charter boats. Hard workers too, man. That's a hard job. If anybody's thinks that it's easy and this and that, it's not. Being a deckhand on a fishing boat is rough work, man. You know. And like I say, you work for tips, just like a waitress works for tips. That's how they work. They work on tips, man. But that's where I got those long grabbers, like you see right there, like I'm trying. This is the same fish. This isn't another one. So it's only 2 reds right now. This is the same fish, but it's from the camera, from the viewpoint of the camera on the back of the boat. So that's not a 3rd red in the boat yet. It's the same one that I couldn't get the hook out of. He was, okay, if I remember right, he was 21 inches. He might have been a little bit over 21, maybe 21 and a half, but I don't think he quite hit the 22-inch mark. But it was a beautiful little red, and it was good eating red too, man. I took him home and filleted him up and ate him. Good tasting. Those are the perfect sizes right there, from 20-inch to about 22. If you're going to eat them, those are the perfect sizes to eat. They're easy to clean, and it's just so tender. Good tasting, nice flavor. But those grabber things, they work really well, man. I kept a pair for mine. I think I bought them at Menards there in Port Isabel. They had them there at that. I think that's what that place is, where the old Walmart used to be. Right there where it comes off of 48 and Highway 100 meet. That's where I bought those. Because like I said, when I was out the first couple of times with those guys offshore, they had the little short ones that were only like, I don't know, 8 inches, 6, 8 inches, trying to get those hooks out of the fish that they were catching. And I was just in Menards one day. I stopped off on my way heading back to Brownsville, because I was living in Brownsville at the time and working in Brownsville. I stopped off there, and I saw that they had those. Menards had just opened, so that shows you how many years ago this was. That's when they had first just opened that Menards location. And they had them. I think they had them there for either $8.99 or $9.99, something like that. $7.99. They weren't that expensive, and I think they're a foot, or they're 16 inches long grabbers to remove hooks that go deep down in there. And I've had that one that long, man. I bought one for every deckhand for the Osprey, and then I bought one for myself too. I kept one for myself. So maybe that's a 22. I said it's a 21. It's probably a 22 inch redfish. Looks 22 in the picture. So he's right there somewhere, 21, 22. But beautiful red. But like I said, I couldn't get the hook out of him. I had to cut the line. And so this one I'm going to harvest. And we'll keep. And we took him home and ate him. Cassie's sitting up there on the front deck, waiting for the next round. But you see how the water's that green color, and you see how I'm in the oil slicks? You can see them in the water. So there's no secrets here, man. There's fish all over the lower Laguna Madre. You just got to read the signs, and you'll be able to catch them. You know, you got that, what's that Florida group? Salt Strong, that has, I don't know how many thousands upon members. And they got that, I forget, what did they call it, 80, 20, 10 or something? Whatever that 80, I think 80-20 rule, I want to say. 80% of the fish are in 20% of the water. I think that's what they say. I think that's what their slogan is. And if you think about it, they're right. They are right. You just got to know the areas where they're moving. But when I fish the lower Laguna Madre, it doesn't matter where I go. I catch them everywhere. So I don't know if that really holds true down here. It may hold true over in Florida, you know. But here I catch redfish all over that bay, anywhere in that bay. In the channels, they're everywhere. So I don't know if that 80-20 rule really works for us on the lower Laguna Madre. You know, I'm going to try buy one of their soft plastics. I think their biggest one that they push is that Slam Shady that they have that's supposed to work in multiple waters. I'll purchase one of those one of these days and try it out down here and see if it actually works. Because they have like a satellite thing now that you can pay for a subscription. And I think it comes as far as Corpus Christi, that tells you basically how to fish and how to find the fish. You don't need that. I'm telling you, if you just go out, and the more you practice, you're going to see your fishing skills are going to get better, and you're going to be able to read the signs, and you're going to know where the fish are. And the main thing is go out when the fish are moving. That's the main thing, so you don't have to work it. If you get that down, that's, you know, 90% of the job right there. Because when the fish are moving, they're feeding. So if you pick the right times and go out when the fish are moving, you're going to have success. Generally. There may be those days, yeah, that there's one-offs and stuff, but most of the time you will have success at catching fish. You see the little slicks in the water, little bubbles and stuff? Yeah. So So here we go. So let's catch another one here. See what we got going. So Rattlesnake Bay, as you can see those dark plotches. That's grass. So I'm in the grass. There's potholes, grass, potholes, grass. Rattlesnake Bay on the front side of Rattlesnake Island and Hobnail Island is just littered with potholes. On the back side, it's just a big flat of grass spots on a flat plane of mud. But in the front side, it's got a lot of potholes. So this is really good prime area to catch redfish and trout. I was trying to target trout, but the day turned out it was a redfish day, and that's my game. I chase the reds. So I was all over the reds there. Like I said, I caught 6 or 7 of them here. And one trout. Last cast was a trout. The only trout I caught for the whole day. For that afternoon. I didn't fish all day, but whatever that afternoon was. Fished for like 3 hours, I think I fished. I was back by 3 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock. 3-4 hours is all I was on the water. And we got that back bait thunder on. Popping the cork with live shrimp. I got an 8.5 foot rod, offshore rod there with my Slammer 260. And and it's a 1-piece. I love 1-piece rods. I'm not really big on 2-piece. Those jig poles that I bought are 2-piece because they're 12 feet, so they had to make them 2-piece. But my preference is a 1-piece rod. I just like the firmness and the strength of a 1-piece rod. And I like the longer the better. I used to fish with the 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8s back in the day, and I've had plenty of different rods. The ones that I liked before this one were the 8-foot Procast rods. They were a company out of San Antonio. I think they went out of business. I can't find them anymore. But those were good rods. I used those for a long time out there in the Lower Laguna Madre when I was in my Dargo boat. Here's another one, another red. Damn, baby. We're on them. Cassie put us on the reds, man. But like you see, it's cloudy all day, and I was catching reds all afternoon, man. Even though it's cloudy and windy. Super windy. You're talking the wind's blowing like 30, 35 miles an hour out there. Rattlesnake Bay. And like I say, I don't go that far. I put in at Tom A, and when I come out, I can either go to Bird Island, Green Island, or Rattlesnake Bay. And usually how my routine is, it's Bird Island, Green Island, and then on the way back, I catch Rattlesnake Bay on the way in. If I got to go to 3 spots. But most of the time, whichever one I usually pick first, I catch everything right there, and I'm done for the day. And like I said, I've caught plenty of big trout in this bay. Between 26 and 27s in there. The biggest trout I ever caught was out there at Green Island, but that's been many, many moons ago. And that one was 31 inches. And I can't find those pictures, man. That's back in my old Dargo boat. Man, that was a huge trout. It's the only one I've ever caught that big. All the other ones have been 27 and down. Just that one, And that's been many moons ago. Back in 98, 99, 2000, right there somewhere when I caught that trout. Massive. Right there on the front side where it meets the Intercoastal Waterway and that sandbar. That's where I caught him in that sandbar. I was drifting on top of that sandbar, and he was right up in there. You could see his dorsal back out of the water because that's how shallow the water was. And that Dargo used to drift pretty shallow, man. You raise the engine up, and it would shallow drift right across there in pretty shallow water, 2-3 inches. It'd drift across there, no problem. It wouldn't get up in that. I mean, it'd run across that, no problem. But that's how I caught that guy, on free floating shrimp with no cork, just a big shrimp on the end of the hook. And I've looked for those pictures of all my Dargo years for fishing, and I can't find any of them. I guess they're lost to time. I don't know where they're at. Yeah, I've got a couple of them that you've seen on some of the videos that I've put in there where I'm sitting on the Dargo and it's got pictures of me with the redfish. Um, but that's all I found. I can't find any of the other ones. I don't know what happened to them. So see another nice one. That one there's 22, 22-inch red, maybe 23, 22 and a half, 23, probably 23. Another nice red. So what else can I tell you here? Like I say, Rattlesnake Bay is unique. It's got when you go in, there's a gut right off the bat on that southern end. So it's a little bit deeper in that gut, probably 4 to 5 feet, maybe 6 feet in some areas, but it only goes so far and then it starts to get shallow, shallow, shallow. But on average, it's 3 feet of water, man, in that bay on the front side. When you go to the back side of Rattlesnake Island and Hobnail Island, it's inches. You know, you're doing good if you even get a foot to 14 inches back there. Most of the time, on average, it's 14 inches or less on the backside. Like you see that island, that's Hobnail Island. On the backside of that island, that's where the water gets real shallow. There's some sandbars in there that you got to watch out for, and mud bars you got to watch out for. And there's a lot of them on the backside that you got to navigate through if you're drift fishing back there. So you just got to keep that in mind. But the backside is where the clear water is. Front side is where the murky water is. The low clarity water. The high clarity water will be on the backside of those two islands. But you catch fish on either side. Here we go, another one. So I've already lost count. That's either 4 or 5 right there already that we're up to on redfish. And as you can see, the sun never really came out. It stayed cloudy all day. A little peeking through here and there. But that afternoon. But it didn't stop the fish. So that's a little rat red. He's undersized. We'll have to let that one go. But it's a redfish. Put him back to let him grow a little bit bigger. So he can get bigger. You know, one thing too that since we're talking about sizes and stuff, I used to fish the pier years ago. Reason why I haven't really gone, I mean, I kind of just took my, how should I say, the wind out of my sail to fish off the piers anymore. Because when I used to fish there, people would keep everything, man. And I just don't like seeing that. So that's probably another reason why I'm kind of procrastinating going down to the pier and making some videos, because they keep everything. I've seen it. They just load it up. It doesn't matter if it's undersized, they're going to keep it. You know, and we should be good stewards, and we should be following the guidelines, because for the next generation that comes after us. I mean, our redfish population, they dropped the redfish from 5 to 3, and you can see the difference now. I mean, there's reds everywhere in the bay when they did that. So now that they've dropped the trout from 5 to 3, let's see if that gets the population back up. But it doesn't help us when you have people that rent cabins on private piers and stuff there at the Arroyo, and they catch and they keep everything and they clean it right there. It happens, you know. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. You can bury your head in the sand, but the reality is they keep everything, and they're not thinking that, hey, you know, we need to let these fish grow bigger so it makes more and populates the bay more. So I just wish people would follow the guidelines, keep what they say, and let the rest go. You know? The only time you should keep anything undersized is if you hook it in the throat or whatever, or you mess up the gill plate and it's bleeding so bad that it's not going to survive. Then that's understandable. It doesn't do any justice to the fish by letting it go. Yeah, it makes it to be crab bait and bait for something else, but it dies a horrible death that way. So it's best just to dispatch it and harvest it. But those things are really rare. They don't happen every day. I just wish we had more people that were good stewards and help us with out here on the lower Laguna Madre. Pick up your trash, because you'll see in some of my videos I'm always picking up trash floating in the water, finding it out there and out in the flats, way out in the flats. There's, you know, Dorito bags floating. You know, it's just crazy what you see out there, that people drop and leave. But yeah, just be good stewards, guys. It's the benefit for all of us and for the people that come after us and for the next generation of our families and stuff that will have this beautiful resource to enjoy it. It'll still be there for them. So this is another nice little red too. This one's probably 22, 23 here too also that I got. So I've already lost count. I don't know if that's number 4 or number 5. But as you can see, it was a really good day for redfish. Even though I'm fishing trout green water, I'm catching redfish. Let's see what we got here. Probably 22, 23. Yeah, right there somewhere. 22, 23, 23 it looks like. About 23-inch red. Nice one. Beautiful. So, Rattlesnake Bay. I don't know what I can tell you on that. All I know is I've been fishing it going on 30 years here. Ever since I had my, you know, I went out there a few times with my brother's buddy when I was invited to go along, but regularly fishing it was not since 1997. So 97 was when I bought my first boat, and it was a Dargo 170 Scout. I bought it from Rusty Dargo out there at Dargo Boat Works in Donna. That's when I started fishing this bay regularly, and I've been fishing it ever since. And it's been producing all that time. So I say that was a 2-foot. No, that's the 5-foot. So I'd already bought the 5-foot drift sock, and I love that drift sock, man. It slows you down good. So that's why I'm thinking about getting 1 or maybe 2 more, and then hanging either 2 to 3 off the back of the boat to really slow me down, so I can take my time working the area. You know. So we pick up and we move a little bit. I want to say I was getting too close to the spoil bank on this side. And then I think we stop and we catch a couple of more, and then that's it. We're done. So let's see which way we go. So that was Rattlesnake Island, Hobnail Island. So let's see where I'm going to go here. Which direction? Where we stop. Beautiful day. Look at that. Look at the cloud cover. Beautiful. Even though it was a windy day, still a good day to be out on the lower Laguna Madre. That beats sitting at home, man. Enjoying the day. I love that old boat, man. That old show water boat. May not be the smoothest riding boat in the world, but boy, when it comes to flats fishing, that's a good flats fishing boat. Big platform, and it gets you in the skinny. And up in the skinny, too. I'm anxious to see what it's going to do with that new 175 Yamaha Max Show that I have. Once it gets out there. See how it's going to perform. It performs, because actually with this 115 Mercury that I had on the back, it really performed really well. I can't complain. I mean, that engine was light. It was only 388 pounds. And it got me up in shallow water. We'll cover some of the shallow water videos here in the future, and you'll see how it gets up in real shallow water. You're talking 12 inches, man. And that's with that little motor on it. It would do it. Wasn't no speed demon, but it performed. The only reason why I'm changing it out is because I've had so much problems with it. And I may have plans for that motor in the future for another project. So it's not like I'm throwing the motor away. Because First, I got to see if I can even get all the parts for it to redo it. That's one thing I have to look into. So you see how the water's like a green color? And it's churned up because the wind is blowing. Normally, it's a bright, bright green is what it is. But it's got that brown tinge in it because the wind's been blowing 30 miles an hour. So the sand on the floor and the mud on the floor of that bay is churned up in the water. So it makes it, the clarity really, really low visibility. But I've caught plenty of fish when it's on a calm day. You'll see that water there is just a beautiful green. Beautiful green. If you look at some of my drift fishing the Lower Laguna Madre videos, just for drift fishing the Lower Laguna Madre, I got like 8 or 9 parts. And there you'll see it where it just shows that bright green in front of the boat. That's Rattlesnake Bay. That's what it's known for. That color of water, trout green water. And you catch a lot of trout out of that bay. So I think this is this the trout? Or is this another baby red? It might be a baby red. So a little rat red right there. So like I said, I've lost count. I don't know if he's number 6 or whatever he is. Yeah, little rat red. But I catch a trout right here somewhere. And I think that's going to be it. We'll be heading back after I catch that trout. But see, that's where you want to see. I even still got my bait back from that guy before we let him go. Beautiful little red. Look at that. Oh yeah. Oh, back where he came from. But you see how it's green? It's normally a brighter green than that. It's just that because the wind's blowing so much, the water's turned up from the bottom of the floor of the bay. And you'll see, I'll be covering some other videos where the wind wasn't blowing, and you'll be able to see, because you'll be able to see the potholes and the grass in there, more clarity. It's not clear like the grass flats in the back part of that bay, but still it's clear enough that you can distinguish it and you can see it, you know. So here's another one. Like I said, I think I fished till about 2:30, 3 o'clock right there somewhere. I think it was around 2:30 was when I went back in that day. And all I did is just fish Rattlesnake Bay. Went out, was out there about between 10:30 and 11 o'clock, and came back around between 2:30 and 3. And as you saw, I only picked up once. So I did 2 drifts through there. And I used live shrimp the whole time because they were biting on shrimp, so I wasn't going to change. I was going to stick with it. I mean, if it's working, why change it? That's beautiful. Look at the cloud cover with the sun filtering through it. Beautiful. Cassie was on her game that day, let me tell you. She had that mojo going. And like I say, it's just, you know, the more you fish, the better you're going to get. It's just practice, 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 just like anything else. Yeah, you're going to have those days. Everybody does. Where you go out and you don't catch anything. But the majority of the time, if you keep going, you're going to see more times you'll catch than when you won't. And like I say, I'm a big changing of the tides guy. I'm checking the battery on the GoPro, see if it was dead or not. Make sure if I had to change it out before I pick the fish up. Because that's why it was dead before I hooked. When I hooked that fish, it was dead. I had to put a battery in it before I finished reeling the fish in. That's why you don't see me in the beginning of it, because the GoPro was dead. So I just double checking to make sure it was on. Another nice redfish. And the slot, just like how you like them. Look at that. Beautiful. Another 22, 23, easy. Probably about 22 and a half to 23 inches, easy. Nothing like it. Rattlesnake Bay on the lower Laguna Madre. I love this bay. Like I said, I love fishing that area. There's just so many different aspects of that little area on the lower Laguna Madre that the potential of catching reds, trout, snook, I mean, great potential. Been fishing it almost 30 years now on a consistent basis. Another year or two, it'll be 30 years. It's 25, so 26, 27, so 18 years. Or no, 28 years. What am I saying? Not good in math. 28 years. Yeah. That I've been fishing it. Here we go. Now, this might be the trout, or is it another red? Like I said, I caught a lot of reds that day. Trout. So that's the only trout I caught right there. Last cast of the day, and guess what? What I initially came over there for, that's what I caught. A speckled trout. I want to say he's like 16 or 17, right there somewhere. Nice little size. Nothing super big. But we ended the day right on the fish that we originally came to target. Even though we had to go through a lot of reds to catch him. But we did finally catch a speckled trout. You know. So I'm getting the hook out of him, and we'll put him up at the camera so you can see him. I'll measure him out. Now I want to say he was 16, 17. He might have been 18. Let's see when he gets up to the camera. I know he wasn't no 19 or 20. But he's a decent trout. Yeah, nice little decent trout. Yeah. I want to say 17, 18 was what he was. Oh yeah, baby. Look at that. Yeah, about 17 and a half, 18 inches. I'd say about 17 and a half, something like that. That's what he looks like. 17 inches. That's it. We'll head back. Cassie says it's time to head back to the house, so we're heading back. Going back into Tomei. So here, we're going right out. This is Rattlesnake Bay. We're going to go on that south entrance right there. You see it straight ahead? And the Royals right there. See, that's what I love about these places. I don't got to go that far. I probably only burnt not even an eighth of a tank of gas on that boat. And I caught fish. I didn't have to go far at all. Because, you know, the Rattlesnake Bay, Bird Island, Green Island, they're all close right there to Arroyo City. And you don't got to burn that much fuel to go catch fish. Another good day. Drift fishing the lower Laguna Madre in my 1988 shoal water Sportsman flats boat. It's when I still had the light bar on there. I'd already taken off the sound bar. I got tired of jacking with that thing, and you know, and then music, and I don't really necessarily need music when I'm out there. I like the solace of just being out there in the environment, playing music, blasting. I see guys on their boats coming by blasting their music and stuff, and while they're drift fishing out there. That's not for me, man. I'd rather be quiet, listen to the birds, the wind, just take in the entire environment that you're in. So I 86 that thing, got rid of it. It's in the garage somewhere. Paid 250 or 300 bucks for that sound bar, man. And then I took that light bar off too because it didn't serve any purpose either. It casted too big of a shadow because it's not up high enough, so it would hit the front deck and cast a big shadow right in front of the boat, so it defeats the purpose of having one. I just went back to a regular spotlight that I'd hold in my hand while I'm driving it and spot it, how I used to do it on my Dargle. I may rig up something later on that I can stick down in one of those rod holders there on the console with a light on it that points down when I start doing fishing at night, and be able to drive that way. Something that's detachable, that doesn't stay on the boat the whole time. That's the old Garmin. That Garmin GPS there is like 15 years, or 2015 model. It's a 2015 model, so what is it going on? Well, it's 10 years old. I'm gonna have to upgrade that one because that's 10-year-old unit. Need to get a new one. Maybe one a little bigger than that. That's I want to say it's a 9-inch screen. I want to say that's what that one is. Maybe get a 10-inch one. I don't know if I'd actually need a 12-inch one that big, because look, all that a GPS navigation / sonar or whatever it is going to do you in the flats is, one, for the temperature of the water, two, and to navigate. Finding fish, it's not going to, we got a boat right there. Finding fish, it's not going to find you fish in 2 feet of water, man. So that part of it's not going to do you any good. Now, if you were fishing the channels and you're fishing the big deep bay down there in South Powder Island and Port Isabel and stuff like that, then that thing would probably come in handy. The ship channels, stuff like that, it would probably come in handy. But out here in the flats, what a GPS does for you, gives you navigational charts, so you can navigate and fog, you know what I mean, to get back. Because before, when the fog was thick, you would have to sit and wait till you could see. You couldn't navigate in that prior to the advent of GPS. Many a times I was out in my Dargle and the fog would roll in at night, early morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. It was thick as pea soup. You couldn't even see off the bow of the boat. So you just anchor down and you stay there until it lifts. There's nothing you can do. Trying to navigate through that is just crazy. I've met a few people when I was out there. One was in a pontoon barge trying to navigate it, and you could hear. Well, I could hear him because first off, I couldn't see him because the fog was so thick, but I could hear him that he was in my area, and I was right here tied off on the south side of the channel because I'd come out of Rattlesnake Bay. And the fog got so thick right there, I tied off to that. There used to be a big telephone pole there, but I guess some barge has knocked that over. It's not there anymore. And so I tied off there. It was me and my brother. We stayed right there, man. And we could hear this guy going, whoa! And then he'd back up and he'd go, whoa! And he was trying to stab it in because, like I said, the channel's not straight. It curves. You got to curve to get into the arroyo. And he kept running it aground because he couldn't see in front of his boat. And then he slowly came up to us, and that's what he asked us, where's the river, man? And he was in this big old pontoon barge. And we told him it's over there in that direction, but I would wait until the fog lifts to try. And he couldn't wait, man. And so he kept trying. He'd hear, wah, 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 and he couldn't stab it in. So by the time the fog lifted and the sun was coming up in the morning and it was burning the fog off, I fired up the boat, and as we come around, he's right there. He's all up on the bank on the south side of the arroyo, and he's he's laid out, man. He's sleeping. I guess it wore him out, man. But he's all stuck in the mud up there in that pontoon barge, when he could have just anchored off by us and just waited until the fog lifted. So, like I say, just don't take chances. Be safe. Always be safe. Nothing is worth your life out there. you know, when you're fishing. Don't be in a hurry. Um, just think before you do, because the wrong decisions can be costly on the lower Laguna Madre. Um, just be safe. But I always remember that guy, man. It was just funny, man. He just had to get in, and he didn't get in, man. He was stuck up in the mud, out of the water, laid out when the sun came up. so, so just be safe, guys. I mean, that's one of the most things that I can stress. Um, don't take chances. If you gotta wait, you gotta wait. I love this old boat, man. I love this old boat. Cassie loves this old boat, and then we're gonna have Rusty's gonna be a new addition to it. So you'll be seeing him in the future videos once we go back out. And he's gonna be Cassie's wingman. Cassie picked her up a wingman, and like I said, we had another good day out there, drift fishing the lower Laguna Madre. So my poles had rusted off on my boat. So what I do there is I use 2 lines to guide my boat back on the trailer, because I don't have the guide poles to drive it back up on there. But you'll see now I've replaced those and I got new ones. But back then they'd already rusted off, so that's what I had to use. I used one off the bow and then one off the middle or the end of the boat, and I can guide it right up onto the trailer like that, using 2 ropes. And then I just hook the crank into it and crank it up. Because you got to remember, I'm usually by myself. So when we're out there fishing. But this is gonna take an end to part 1 of Rattlesnake Bay. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We had a good time out there when we caught all those redfish, even though we were trying to fish for trout. We were trying to target trout, but we did catch 1 trout. We saved face at the end of the day. The last fish caught was a trout. But great fishing. Another great day of fishing. And we're just getting everything ready and prep to get the boat out of the water. I picked Cassie up, put her on the deck. All right, guys. We're going to sign off here. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you out on the lower Laguna Madre. Good day.